Hey guys, so today I'm making a chit-chatty video. I saw Vaughn the makeup artist's video on things she wished she knew when she started in makeup, and I just thought it would be so fun to make one of these videos on my own, just because I always think back to when I was in college. If you go back and look at my first YouTube video, which was like 5 years ago, it's so funny how things have changed and just my personality, and yeah, it's just funny to look back and think of those times when I like never wore makeup as a teenager, and then I moved to the States and now I'm like obsessed with makeup, which is a whole nother story for another day. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into my things I wish I knew as a makeup beginner video. So as always, I just want to throw out, I'm not an expert, and also I'm going to have a lot of tips. We actually have 25 tips of things I wish I knew when I was a beginner in makeup. So if you want me to elaborate on anything, definitely leave me a comment down below. I'd be happy to film a whole video talking about some of this stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so tip number 1. Not only expensive makeup is good makeup. So, you know, when you're younger or when you're just starting out in makeup, you watch YouTube videos and you see all these YouTubers talking about really, really expensive stuff like YSL and Sunday Riley and Dior, and you're like, shit, I don't have money for that. And you think like you need expensive makeup, but honestly, you don't need expensive makeup. What you need to do is do your research, because there are amazing drugstore brands out there with foundations that are formulated very similar to some of the high-end formulations that we pay for. So if you're balling on a budget, just try out different products from the drugstore, and I'm sure you can find some amazing things. So you don't need to spend a ton of money when you're first starting out. Just try out some of the drugstore stuff. Things have gotten so much better in the drugstore, so I'm sure you can find a lot of high-end dupes for a much more affordable price. Tip number 2. So my second tip is one that's very important. It's investing in good makeup tools. Now, I've seen so many girls' makeup bags, and I've seen like 3 brushes, and they're old and they're dirty and things like that. So you don't have to spend a ton of money. Definitely check out like Real Techniques in the drugstore, Eco Tools, Morphe brushes. All of those brands have really, really affordable brushes and sponges and tools that you need to get your makeup on fleek, girl. So I definitely think it is worth the investment. Put in some money to get some really good brushes. When I first started out, I wonder if I still have them in here. I had 2 Urban Decay brushes, and honestly, I use them to death. I don't think I have them in here. One was from a palette, and then I had like a blending brush and like a concealer brush, and those got me through some really, really good times. Tip number 3. So if you're new to makeup, like I've said, make sure you do some research. You know, find out what colors complement your skin tone. Find out what shades work best on your eyes. If you have green eyes, if you have blue eyes, if you have brown eyes, if you have gray eyes. There's so many charts out there showing what colors complement your eyes, your skin tone, things like that. So make use of those resources and do your research. Tip number 4. Now, my best friend taught me this trick, and I think it is a good one. So, you know, we always have a hard time matching our foundations. So the best thing to do is to grab a foundation that you already own. When you're going to buy a new foundation, grab something that you know is a perfect match. So in my case, I know NARS Sheer Glow in the shade Tahoe and Syracuse are my perfect shades. So I always go to Sephora, make sure I swatch Syracuse or Tahoe depending on the season, and then any new foundation I want to try, I make sure those 2 colors match each other. So I try to get as close as possible, because the lighting at Sephora is impossible, and I know they have like these skin ID machines and these shade matching machines. Honestly, those things are crap because they don't match you well, and then you walk out of Sephora with a shade that's too dark, too light, you know. It's a real pain in the butt. So a foolproof way to find the right foundation shade is to just grab a foundation that you already know works well with your skin, and then match whatever foundation you're buying to that perfect color. Okay, another thing that I need to point out, and I know this kind of sounds like obnoxious, but it's true. Not everyone that works at a makeup counter or a makeup store is an expert. A lot of the time, that's their part-time job. Yes, there are really passionate Sephora employees, but like I'm my local JCPenney. Sometimes I see people working there at the Sephora, and I'm like, do you even like makeup? Like, it happens. I mean, I get it. It's a part-time job. Sometimes, you're in college, you don't really care about makeup. You're just looking for something to do, some way to make a few bucks. So always keep in mind, they're not the expert all the time. Do your research, read your reviews. Sephora has a review section on their app, on their website. You can read thousands of reviews from people that have used the product. So always use your due diligence. Don't just depend on the employee at the counter or the store to know everything about the product. Tip number 6. Now this is a really important one because people always comment on this when I talk about stuff. It's okay to return makeup. You can return makeup at the drugstore, you can return makeup at Sephora, and you can return makeup at Ulta, and it's usually no questions asked. And honestly, this is a $56 primer. If this doesn't work for me, I'm so glad that I can return it. That's what makes you try makeup, because makeup is so expensive, guys. It's okay. If something doesn't work for you, take it back to the store. And if you can't find the receipt, if you bought it on the website, usually you can log back into your account and find your order history. Print out that receipt and take it into store and return the thing, because nobody wants to hold on to things that they can't use. Tip number 7, if in doubt, ask for a sample. Now, like I said, some things are really expensive. For example, the Sunday Riley Good Jeans. This is $158. So if you don't want to commit to something, I know for sure Sephora always does samples, so you can ask for a sample of anything in the store. Test it out, try it out a couple of days, and then if you really enjoy it, then you can commit to a full size. Tip number 8. Now this is a big one. You don't have to try every trend that comes along. Something that we get caught up in YouTube and just being a regular consumer is we love trends. We want everything to work for us, and it doesn't. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to. So when it comes to things like baking, sometimes if you have really dry skin, baking can really dry out your skin. And if you have really dry skin, you almost don't need to bake, because baking is a technique to keep your skin and your foundation from moving, keeping it from being oily, just powdering your face in general. If you have really dry skin, you don't really need to do that. So I can see people starting out in makeup just like dousing themselves in powder, but they have really dry skin, so it just makes them look crusty, and then it's just like a vicious cycle. So remember, just because everyone's doing it on YouTube or some beauty guru is doing it, it doesn't mean that it's gonna work for you. So always try and find out what trend is gonna work for you. Tip number 9. Now, I am a big proponent of knowledge is power, and there is no reason in the world to say that you don't know how to do something anymore, because there is a DIY for everything out there now, especially with YouTube. So if you want to learn how to do your makeup, just watch a YouTube tutorial. I mean, that's pretty much how I like to do makeup. Everyone just learns from everyone else. There's no experts. I mean, there are experts. There are some really, really good makeup tutorials out there. There's some amazing looks that a lot of YouTubers have put together. So, when you have a spare minute and you want to learn something, just watch a YouTube tutorial. Number 10. Now this one is just all about practice. I see so many people saying, oh, I wish I could do a cat eye. I wish I could put my lashes on, like wear fake lashes and things like that. And honestly, it's all about practice. Cat eyes are not easy to do by any means, but you have to practice, you have to mess up, you have to learn about your eye shape, what's flattering, how long your wing needs to be, what product works best on your lids. It's all about practice, testing things out, and then finding out what works well for you. It was the same with fake lashes for me. I could never get a fake lash on, and now I'm so much more comfortable with it. I actually do an even better job of putting lashes on other people, but it's something I know I'm not very good at, so I want to practice and I want to get better at it. So Practicing is tip number 10. The next important tip I have for you guys is understand your skin type. Now, when I was younger and I used to watch YouTube tutorials, it never like dawned on me that I should pay attention to what kind of skin the person I was watching has. Because if somebody has really oily skin, they're going to do different techniques on their face. And if somebody has dry skin, they're going to do different techniques. They're going to use more moisturizing products, things like that. So it's something really good to keep in mind as a makeup beginner, because you might love Tati or you might love Jaclyn Hill, but Jaclyn Hill has really dry skin. So she's going to do everything she can to make her skin look really dewy. But if you're an oily girl, you need to keep that in mind so you don't mess up your own makeup, because some of the techniques she uses might not work for you. And again, that goes with the trends, but also just realizing that, so for example, I have really dry skin, so I need a really hydrating moisturizer. And I have dry skin, so I don't need a mattifying primer. Things like that are very important to know because it can really change the look of your makeup. So always keep in mind, no matter what beauty guru you're watching, make sure you understand their skin type so that you're only taking things that are going to work for your skin, not completely copying what they're doing. Because if they have completely different skin from you, it is not going to work out for you. Okay, so tip number 12. Now this one I talk about all the time on my channel. It's investing in good skincare. It doesn't matter how much makeup you have. If your skin is not well taken care of, if you're not getting facials every once in a while, getting those blackheads removed and things like that, your makeup game is just going to be off. So one of my big tips for anyone starting out in makeup is make sure you're taking care of your skin, make sure you're hydrating, make sure you're cleansing, make sure you're not going to bed with your makeup on. All of those things in the long run will help prevent aging and fine lines and wrinkles and things like that. And we all love to look younger, right? Another really good tip is to remember that some products work better when applied with different tools. Now this one I see with foundation a lot because some foundations just work really well with beauty blenders. Some foundations work really well when they're buffed in with a brush. Some work really well when you do a combination of both. So always try different techniques with your foundations, your concealers. Try a sponge, try a brush. It's always kind of like an experiment with things like that. I go in phases. I love sponges sometimes. I love brushes sometimes. So I go back and forth, but it's really important to remember that some products work best with some tools and some products work better with different tools. So keep that in mind. Another really handy tip is to do your eyeshadow first. Now, especially if you're a beginner and you're working with like crazy colors or you're doing like a really dramatic smoky eye, definitely do your eyes first, because if you have any fallout, all you need to do is take a makeup remover wipe and just wipe away all of that product. Keep that in mind, because a lot of people always ask me like, is there a way to do it? Like, do you do your foundation first? Do you have to do your eyes first? Is there like a rule? There isn't a rule, but I feel like doing your eyes first is good practice. Now, there's sometimes where I do first impressions on my channel where I do my face and then I do my eye makeup, and it's really, really fucking scary because like with this eyeshadow look, if there was fallout, it would make such a mess on my face. Luckily, the eyeshadows were really good. But just as a rule of thumb for a beginner, do your eye makeup first, because then you won't mess up your face makeup. Tip number 15. Now, I already feel like I covered this when I said, invest in skincare, but this is so important and I see girls doing this all the time. Do not sleep with your makeup on. It's a terrible idea. I usually even take my makeup off if I'm going to take a nap, because it's just not worth it. It's the scariest thing in the world to me to think of like this makeup getting pressed into your face more than it already is. So please don't sleep with your makeup on. Just grab a freaking wipe and wipe that makeup off before you hit the hay. Another important tip, and I feel like I already covered this, but I'm going to say it anyway, clean your brushes. Make sure you wash them periodically. It's preferred if you do it every time you use a brush, but honestly, ain't nobody got time for that. So clean them as much as you can. Definitely don't keep using dirty brushes, especially if you feel like you're breaking out. The first thing you want to do on your face is to clean your face brushes, because it could possibly be that your brushes are so dirty, it's causing you to break out. So That's like one of my holy grail tips. Always clean your makeup brushes. Another fun tip is to invest in a lash curler. Now, honestly, these amp up your eyelash game and they're not very expensive. Some people like to use eyelash extensions and fake lashes and things like that, but honestly, just to have nicer lashes, a good thing to do is just curl your lashes and they really amp themselves up. And always be grateful for what you have because there's so many things that could go wrong. You should just be really grateful for the lashes you have, the brows that you have, the teeth that you have, you know, things that we wish we could change about ourselves, honestly are some of our best features. Another important thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is concealer. Now, concealer is a magical thing. You can use it for so many different things. Concealer is great for concealing, of course, any imperfections that foundation doesn't cover. So if you have like a dark spot that you can cover up, definitely you can conceal it. There's also concealer that you use for color correcting. So weird shades like green, orange, yellow, purple, those are used to kind of like change the color of your face. So if you're really dark under eyes, you can neutralize that with an orange peachy shade, or if you have a lot of redness, you can neutralize that with a green. So keep in mind, concealer can be used for different purposes. Also for highlighting. So for example, if you want to, you know, make the under eyes look lighter, bring your nose forward, you can use a lighter concealer to highlight your face. I can do a whole video on this for you guys, but I just wanted to point out to all those beginners out there, just like when I was a beginner, I did not realize that concealer had multiple uses. So if you're trying to conceal, make sure you're getting a shade that matches your skin tone. If you're trying to highlight, make sure you get a shade that is lighter, 2 or 3 shades lighter than your skin tone. And if you're trying to color correct, make sure you're getting like one of those funky colors. Okay, so here's a big mascara no-no. You know when you see girls and they're sitting there going like this? Don't pump your mascara because it's the best way to kind of end the life of your mascara because it lets a bunch of air in. So you don't have to do that. Just grab it and go. And another thing too is if your mascara is getting old, you can throw in a few contact solution drops in there and it'll spring it back up to life. Tip number 21, realize that makeup does expire, so keep that in mind. Things like mascara expire in about 3 to 4 months, and usually it has a shelf life printed. Like for example, this foundation says 12 months. Now, am I a Nazi where I sit there and I'm like, nope, 12 months is up. I never use this. I'm going to throw away a full bottle of Christian Dior foundation. No, but you can tell when foundation and like eyeshadow is getting old. It's going to look different. Sometimes it smells funky. So, you know, keep those things in mind. You can definitely look all of the stuff up online. But remember, makeup expires. Don't use expired makeup. You'll probably end up losing an eye or something serious. So keep that in mind. Okay, so tip number 22 and 23 are kind of the same thing. It's about saving money when you buy makeup. So eBates is a really good one. It sounds a little phooey, but honestly, it's just a cashback program. So you sign up for an eBates account, and then you just purchase all your stuff through eBates. There's a ton of eBates videos out there, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about it, but it does work. I have definitely earned money back using eBates. The next tip I was going to talk about is rewards programs. So things like Sephora VIB program, the Ulta Platinum Perks program. Those are really great programs and they're free to join. And you just get coupons. Like Ulta gives me 20% off like 4 times a year. Sephora does like 15 and 20% off twice a year. So those are really great times to take advantage of your rewards programs and earn points and money and things like that. I can definitely go into a whole money saving video sometime. But yeah, check out those programs. When I am at Sephora and they ask the girl like, do you have a rewards card with us? And they say no. And then they offer to sign them up and they say no. And I'm like, can I have your points? Because if you're not going to use them, I can use them. Honestly, sign up for a freaking rewards program, okay? Tip number 24 is keep an eye out on Instagram. There is a really awesome account called Trend Mood on Instagram, Trend Mood 1. There's also G Glow Beauty, Hot Fire Makeup. There's a few of them that always get like the latest makeup updates. So I really like that. It's almost like a bad thing. I don't know if I should tell you about this tip because you're gonna get hooked, and every time they update you on a launch or they tell you when a new collection is out, so you can like be there first, you know, because things sell out so fast in the makeup world. So yeah, I kind of wish I knew about that as a beginner. I wish I knew about that like now. So hopefully if you've never checked out Trend Mood, this will let you check it out, and then you will be up to date on all the cool makeup launches. Okay guys, tip number 25. So I hope you guys have enjoyed all my tips so far, but I was gonna say the most important thing is to do you. So all these things are more like guidelines. They're not rules. You can do whatever you want. That's the fun thing about makeup, right? We can all be whoever we want to be with makeup. So there's always information, resources, but when it comes to how you do your makeup, that is a personal thing. It's totally up to you guys, and I hope you continue to enjoy makeup and play with makeup and end makeup shaming, because there is no such thing as too much makeup. Anybody agree with me on that? I'm taking votes. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my 25 tips on things I wish I had known as a makeup beginner. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. If you have any video suggestions, I'd be happy to hear them. And thank you so much for spending time with me. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!